Hey everybody, this is D Hunter bringing another action figure review. Today we're going to be looking at the Mattel WWE Ultimate Edition Bray Wyatt as the Fiend. Now this is not the first Fiend they've released. We've got an Elite Fiend and a couple basic Fiends, but this is the first Ultimate Fiend and it's probably going to be the best Fiend out there. This is from the recent Ultimate Edition Series 7. You may notice I have two of these Fiend figures. I plan to use them as a Joker Thug as well as the Fiend in my action figure collection. And since we have two display options, the jacket on and the jacket off, I thought it was appropriate to get two of these guys. So let's go and check out the packaging here. As you can see, at the top it says the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Wrestling, Ultimate Edition, Ultimate Articulation for Authentic Posability by Mattel. Here he's in the package. He's got two heads, two alternate sets of arms. He's got a removable jacket, and then the championship belt. One side of the package here, you can see the Fiend grinning maniacally. Other side, it simply says the Fiend. At the top, Wrestling Ultimate Bray Wyatt. At the bottom, there is a barcode in case it helps anybody, as well as a bunch of credits. And then on the back, you can see the Fiend in a couple different poses here. So with no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that we got this figure out of the package, here he is with all of his accessories laid out. He does come with an alternate head, totaling two interchangeable heads. He has a removable jacket. He's got some swappable arms, as well as some swappable hands, giving him four interchangeable hands. And he also has the Fiend championship belt. But before we look at the accessories, let's check out the actual figure. So when I first saw this guy was going to be released in the Ultimate format, I just assumed it was going to be the Elite figure with a different head and some swappable arms. But this guy's so much more than that. His torso and his legs definitely seem to be different from the Elite Fiend. So let's start off with his head here. It looks great. It looks sick. It looks sinister. His teeth are sort of silver. He's got that maniacal, evil look to him. He's got his hair just like Bray Wyatt, looking fantastic. You can see all of his tattoos all over him. Looks like double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. He's got a ball joint in his torso. Liking what I'm seeing so far. The pinstripe pants, tattoos all over his back. You can see the straps on the mask. Looking great. And I didn't notice it at first, but he's got some designs on his shirt here. You can only really see it when the light hits it a certain direction. I've never noticed this in the show. It was something that was not on the Elite figure or the Series 114 basic figure, but the WrestleMania basic figure with the jacket also has those designs. And then here are both the Fiend figures with all their accessories laid out. And then here are both the figures broken down as far as they can go, with all of their removable parts detached. Now let's check out his accessories, and let's start off with his hands. Here he is with his first pair of hands. These are some open, flat, outstretched hands. And on the outside of his gloves, his right hand says hurt, and his left hand says heal. And here's his other pair of hands. These are some gripping hands. Now let's check out his heads. He has two of them. They're both sadistic. One is a big old grin, and one has his tongue sticking out. Here's his first head. And here's his second head with his tongue sticking out. And that is so cool. It's great for the Fiend, and it's also going to be great for the Joker Thug. Both uses I have for this action figure. Now let's check out his removable jacket. He's got some swappable arms with the sleeves and sleeveless. And then we've got this jacket in the middle, made of a soft material, very stretchy, like a leather jacket. Got some big buttons on the front, a little coat tail on the back. Pretty cool. Here he is without the jacket. And here he is with the jacket on. This is going to be my preferred look for him. Just a couple of small complaints. You can see some of his flesh poking out through his tank top. And then on his shoulder, you can also see some of the flesh poking through there. Now let's look at his belt. And this thing is really cool. Upon first glance, I thought it was simply going to be a belt with Fiend's face painted on. But it's so much more than that. This thing is 3D. It's sculpted. It looks great. Let Fiend in. Heel, hurt all over it. It looks great. Here he is wearing the belt around his waist. And here he is holding the belt over his face. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to top, sitting at about 6.9 inches tall, which is going to translate to about 17.5 centimeters. Now let's check out his articulation. Starting with his head here, of course, it can rotate from side to side. It can look up and down about that much. It can tilt just the tiniest bit from side to side. Shoulders on a ball joint, it can go out a little bit more than 90 degrees, up, down, around, all that good stuff. It's got a bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbows below that. His wrists can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. He's got a ball joint in his torso. It can rotate around. It can go forward and back and from side to side. Traditional waist swivel below that. Legs on ball joints. They can go out about this far. Then go forward about that much and back really not at all. He's got a thigh cut below that. Double jointed knees below that. He's got rotation at the top of the boot. Then his ankles, they go back about that far. Forward about that far. They can tilt and rock a little bit, and there's toe articulation. And I wanted to check out the reuse with the Elite Fiend. Like I said before, my first thought about this figure was it was going to be the same as the Elite, just with interchangeable arms and heads, but that is not the case. Their head sculpt is different. You can see the hair is leaning on different sides, and the detailing is a little better on the Ultimate guy here. Going further down, their arms, they look very similar, but I believe them to be different as this is double jointed. Their hands are going to be the same. They have the same interchangeable hands. Their torso is totally different. This guy's an ab crunch, and this guy's a ball joint here. It looks like their crotch is the same. Maybe the top part of the legs are the same. Their boots are definitely different. So a lot of new parts. Here's Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse, about to turn into the Fiend. Here he is in the ring, holding his championship belt over his face. And here he is, holding his Alexa Bliss. And I also mentioned doubling him up as a Joker thug. Here they are, fighting Batman under Joker's orders. Now let's check them out, compared with other action figures, starting off with some other wrestling figures. Here he is, with all the other Fiend figures that I have, from left to right. First, we've got the Elite Series 77 Fiend, and then the Basic Series 114 Fiend, and then the Basic WrestleMania Fiend, and in the center, we've got the two Ultimate Fiends, followed by the same three Fiends on the right. Here he is, with all the different Ultimate wrestling figures that I have. Here he is, next to some Elite wrestling figures. Then, next to some Basic wrestling figures. And here, with some female wrestling figures, both Elite and Basic. Then, with some other wrestling figures that'll double up as Joker thugs in my action figure world. And speaking of Joker thugs, here he is, next to the DC Collectibles Mime and Marionette from the Doomsday Clock comic. And here he is, next to some DC Direct Arkham City Joker thugs. Then, next to some Mattel Movie Master Joker thugs. Now let's check him out, compared with some action figures from different various companies, to see how he fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you want to know which lines you can mix him with. Here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, next to some McFarlane toys. And here, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. Then, with some NECA figures. And here he is, next to some Mezco 1/12 cloth soft goods action figures. Then, next to some of his Mattel brothers. Here he is, next to some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, next to some Mafex figures. Then, next to some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, here he is, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, this guy is great. He is by far the best Fiend figure they've made so far. His head sculpt is the best, and he has 2 different heads. His accessories as a whole are excellent. I love the removable jacket, the different display options, and his 3D belt is pretty cool as well. This guy has the most articulation of any of the Fiend figures they've made either. Of course, he is an Ultimate figure and he costs a little more. If I were to rate this figure, I'd give him a very strong 8.5 out of 10, almost leaning toward a 9. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will talk to you guys real soon.